guys, it's Natalia, and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions on fashion design and FIT and just everything along those lines, because all of my videos about that currently on YouTube are starting to be my top videos, and I get DMs almost on the daily about people that want to apply to FIT or fashion design in general, people that just want to know about portfolio making, or I don't know, just everything that has to do with fashion design and like fashion school. I just get a lot of questions about all the time, which I love because I know that when I applied and I was doing my whole thing, there was just not information on it at all, and I feel like nobody talked about it, and it was really stressful for me because I just didn't know what I was doing at all. So it makes me happy that people are reaching out to me and that I'm able to help them, because I know I was super stressed about it. So if I can help somebody, like 10 out of 10, I will help them. So I asked you guys to send me some questions on Instagram, and you guys answered. So I am going to answer those right now. So the first question is, who are your fashion icons? My top fashion icon is Chanel. If you know me, you know that for a fact. I don't say that just because it's like the cliche, like, oh my gosh, like Chanel, like obviously I love her. Like, it's not in that sense. It's more of like a sense of like respect for her life and how she came up from literally nothing. Like, she grew up in a convent, like she was raised by nuns, and that's where she learned to sew. And then from there she like left and then just went to the city and just kind of made a name for herself eventually. Like, she started with a hat shop and then just worked her way up, and she is what she is today, you know? And it's really crazy how you can literally come from nothing to making such a big name for yourself. Like, I respect that a lot for her. Also, just one thing that really like connected me to her is that I was reading, I want to say I was reading Vogue when the whole Met Gala thing happened with like that it was a Catholic theme. They did this whole spread on Catholicism with fashion designers, and I was reading about it, and you know, like I hadn't put much thought into it because I just hadn't, but a lot of fashion designers were Catholic just because of the time period it was, and they were all in Europe, and that's just a very popular religion in Europe. So you know, I hadn't put two and two together of like Italians are mostly Catholic, or like French people are mostly Catholic or whatever in that time. So Coco Chanel was obviously Catholic as she grew up also in a convent, but it also said in there that she carried a prayer card of Saint Therese of Lisieux with her at all times, and that just really like resonated with me so much, because Saint Therese is one of my personal favorite saints, and she's someone that I like pray through all the time, and I just really loved that about her, because Saint Therese, if you're not Catholic or if you don't know anything about her, she's the saint of like littleness and humility and just like making yourself small in the eyes of God. And I just think that's really beautiful, because Chanel is such a big name, but she always kept that with her, and she always had that sense of like humility and like knowing where she came from. And I think that's so important in this day and age, because a lot of people can get so lost in everything so easily. So that's that. I just like, I love that about her. I think she's just so inspirational. 10 out of 10. Also, her designs are just beautiful. I love how classy she is, but it's like fun. Yeah, so cool. Love her. Definitely my #1 inspiration and everything. Going more into FIT and like school stuff, someone asked if they can get in even if they've gotten lower than a 3.0 GPA one year. If you don't know, FIT has like strict GPA policies for getting in, because they want the top of the top. But at the same time, like if your portfolio is really good but your GPA is not that good, like they can still accept you. Like, they say they won't, but I have friends that didn't have that great of GPAs but that still got in. Or you could be waitlisted and then get in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the end of the world if your grades aren't perfect. At the end of the day, your art also counts. So I don't know, I can't say like yes for sure, but it just kind of depends on your overall application. But it's definitely possible. It's not like, oh, you didn't get above a 3.0 this year, like nope, automatically you can't get in. You know, like they do look at everything. So don't be discouraged by that at all. A lot of people ask me just in general, like, I want to study fashion. Do you have any advice? And that's like the most common DM I get all the time, and I'm just gonna answer it here too, because, you know, for me this question is really hard to answer because it's so general. But I would say my best advice if you want to study fashion design is to like be knowledgeable of everything, keep up with trends, like follow a bunch of fashion accounts, even if you don't love their brands, but like I think it's important to follow everybody and just kind of be in the know of what's happening. Be inspired, constantly inspire yourself, constantly be creative. And of course, like, just create. I think the most important thing in applying to fashion design is obviously having a good portfolio. And to do that, you just constantly have to be creating, constantly have to practice. Like, I sewed so much during my high school years, and then like my portfolio pieces like came out really nicely, or like just things that I had in my portfolio came out nicely because I just had so much practice, and I've made so much stuff that I had a lot to choose from, which was really good. So I definitely just recommend like going all in. I wish like I would have tried more on my drawing, because I knew I wasn't good at drawing, because I just was never taught really how to draw, so I didn't know what I was doing. But I just kind of like didn't bother with that and just like focused all my stuff on sewing. But I kind of wish I would have done more of drawing too, so I would have been a little more knowledgeable coming in. But that's my best advice, is just like create, just do, and just be you. Don't try to be somebody else, or don't try to be a different brand. Don't try to like make something that's already been made. Like, if you don't think they're gonna like it because, I don't know, for whatever reason, but it's still something you love, like, do it. Like, don't do things to please others. You gotta do it because it's you, because it's your art. And that's like the best advice I can give you in a sense of fashion design. Like, you just gotta stand out from people. Like, give them a reason to accept you, you know? Like, why should they choose you over everybody else when everybody else might have just as good of a portfolio? Like, why would you be the one who should be chosen? Give them that reason. I also got questions about sustainability and ethics, because if you follow me on Instagram, I have been trying to be more knowledgeable on sustainability and ethics, and I've actually only been shopping ethically and sustainably for quite a few months now, since I got back from Italy, just because I was made aware of it during my first year of college and I just became passionate about it. I'm not like the most like knowledgeable, passionate, like sustainable kind of person, but I'm aware of it and I try to be mindful of it. And I've been showing that a little bit more on my Instagram stories and stuff with things that I buy. I do like to share that with you guys. So I think I'm gonna make a whole video on my take about like ethical and sustainable fashion, like why I think it's important, like why you should think it's important, my favorite like sustainable and ethical brands, etc. I just want to share that knowledge because I think it's important to be mindful of it. So I'm not gonna talk too much about that right now, but I do want to talk about that eventually. So let me know if there's any questions you guys have on that specifically, and I will answer those, so leave those down below for me. But that's definitely something that I'm going to talk about a lot more coming up soon. Someone asked, how long did the creation of a portfolio take for you, and is it as hard to get in as it seems? So how long did it take? Honestly, I have some portfolio pieces that I made like my sophomore year of high school that I just really loved. It's not like I was making things for my portfolio, I was just making things and then like picked and choose them for my portfolio, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't consciously like, I'm gonna make this specific dress because I'm gonna put this in my portfolio. Like, it was just like, oh, I want to make this prom dress, I'm gonna make this. And then I was like, oh, like this would be good for my portfolio, so I put that in my portfolio. Like, I didn't personally like make stuff specifically for my portfolio necessarily, so it just took a lot of years, I guess, to make a bunch of stuff and then pick and choose. But if you're going to like be making stuff specifically for portfolio, I'd give yourself at least a year to really do stuff and make it really good and perfect it. But again, that's just kind of like depending on how you work and how you want to do things, because I personally didn't do it that way, but maybe you do want to, and that's fine too. You know, there's no right or wrong way to do it. You just gotta be mindful of like making things good and making things perfect as best as you can make them, obviously to show your best talents. And I do think it is kind of as hard to get in as it seems, because I mean, the acceptance rates are legit, you know, like they're real, they're a real deal. So it is hard to get in, but I also think that if you have the skills and if you're meant to be a designer, and if it's meant, like if it's right for you, like it's gonna happen, you know, one way or another. Maybe it's not the school that you think it's gonna be at, but it will be at like some place or somehow. But I strongly believe if things are meant to be, they will be. So I don't think you should worry about like, oh, if I don't get in, like I'm not, like I can't do fashion design ever. Like, if you really have that passion, you really have that drive, like you're gonna get in, like you're going to do it. But you gotta be telling yourself that. Like, I'm the kind of person that, honestly, like I've had a lot of self-doubt in my life, and I've not always been like the most confident person ever or whatever. Like, I'm pretty introverted, and I'm very in my thoughts, so I think a lot, and sometimes that's not very good. But something that I've never doubted for myself is the fact that I want to be a fashion designer, that I'm going to be a fashion designer, that I'm going to be a successful fashion designer. Like, that's just something that I've always had in me, that I've always just believed, and I've worked for it. So it's not like I've just like believed it and just kind of let it be a thing. Like, I've obviously worked my way to where I am, but consciously being like, yeah, I can do this, like I'm going to do this, you know. I have that mindset of like, I know it's going to work out because I'm putting in all this effort. So I think that's very important too, to recognize that you can do it and then figure out how to get there, work your way up, and then do it. I think that the majority of it is really just believing in yourself and like having that drive. It's what definitely got me to where I am currently, and it definitely can get you to wherever you need to be. And the last question I'm going to be answering is, how do you get your inspiration for your designs? What's your fashion inspo? Do you just like come up with things without any sort of reference? And honestly, this is one of those things I kind of struggle with, because I genuinely sometimes don't have like reference, and I don't have like a specific inspiration. Sometimes it literally just comes out of my mind and I just think about it and I'm like, yeah, that's it. But I would say generally I just have a very specific style when it comes to what I design. Like, when it comes to what I wear, I think that I wear a lot of different styles, and I don't have one specific thing that I like always wear, like a specific style that would define me in what I wear. But when it comes to designing, I always lean towards the same kind of things, and it's something that I had never really realized till I came to fashion school. And every project I have, I feel like I've been doing like the same kind of vibe without meaning to. Like, I take inspirations from different things, but somehow they always end up looking like you can tell it's mine, you know what I mean? Like, if you put it in a classroom, like you can pick out which one's Natalia's, because like that's Natalia's style, which I think is a good thing. So I would say generally my inspirations, I like to make things very classy. Like, I don't like to be too showy in my designs. I think that a lot of people nowadays just get very, very showy with their things, because it's just like this modern thing to, I don't know, free everything and just be, you know, exposed. But I'm just not like that. I like to be very classy in my designs. I like to be very Spanish with my designs. I don't know why, but like there's something about it. Like, I always make it very like flamenco-esque. That's something I definitely take a lot of inspiration from, is Spain and its culture and just flamenco dancing in general, because that's something I did do for a lot of years of my life. I want to say like 7 years I did flamenco dancing. So it's something that I've always loved and always been passionate about, and I think that's something like very unique to me, is obviously like it's my culture and it's my ethnicity, but it's also something that like I partook in and that I love. I definitely take a lot of inspirations from that, and just a lot of like just classy silhouettes. I'm very much into evening wear and a lot more of like the nicer stuff. If I design, I don't really design much in color. I tend to lean more towards black and white, red as my pop of color. I don't know, I'm very classy. I don't know if I have a specific inspiration. If I had to choose a decade to be inspired from, I'd definitely say the 50s. Like, I love, love, love the 50s. I just think it's very classy and very cute. So I don't know. I hope that answered the question. I like kind of get inspiration from things. Sometimes I do, sometimes I really don't. But for school you have to, so sometimes I just kind of make it up and then whatever. But yeah, so that's it. Those are all the questions I'm going to answer today, because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this and I answered your questions, and hopefully this was helpful. If you have any more questions, let me know, put them down below in the comments, and hopefully I can get to them all and answer you. If not, then DM me on Instagram, DM me on Twitter, DM me as many times as you need to until I answer. Sometimes I just like see it in the requested like box or whatever, and then I forget to actually answer it, so just keep insisting. I will get to your questions. Genuinely, like, I love helping. I want to help. I want to be helpful towards you, because again, I didn't have anybody to help me, so I want to be that for you. Wow, now we're getting weird shadows from the window, so I'm going to stop now. That is my cue. Wow, I really don't like this. I'm going to move over this way. So if you would like to follow me on social medias, my Instagram is @natalia.trevino. My feed is bopping. 10 out of 10 should follow it. It looks great, and you know, a lot of New York content. And if you want your questions to be answered in future videos and whatnot, like, I always post it on Instagram to ask me questions, so if you want to follow me on there, feel free. My Twitter is @Trevino17. I don't tweet very much, but when I do, it's kind of fun, so feel free to follow that if you would like. And if you don't already know, I do have a blog. It's called Travel with Natalia. It's where I have all of my travel posts. I love traveling and I love being informed when I travel, so I just wanted to put together all of my favorite travel tips, favorite travel destinations, some fun historical facts along the way of just things that I love. It's one of my biggest passions, so put that into a blog for you guys if you guys would like to check it out. And yeah, and of course subscribe to this channel if you're not already subscribed to stay, you know, updated with my life and things that I do. So that's it for today's video. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!